Hi friends, welcome to my lovely little couch. I'm so glad that I can invite you into my little home and we get to talk about God and Jesus and really good things together. I hope that you're doing well today, and we're going to look at a story in the Bible. It is a very cool story. It kind of looks like it might not apply to you and I because we talk about kings and all of these really cool, interesting bits about the Bible. It has to do about battling one another and kingdoms and all of this stuff. And although you might not be a king and I'm not a king, it has a lot to do with who we are as people and how we serve a God that loves us and cares for us. So I want you to pay special attention, use your ears, listen really hard, and think about how you would serve God exactly where you are right now and how important it is that we stay near and dear to Him. So we're looking at a story today about a man named King Solomon and his sons. He has a son named Rehoboam and a son named Jeroboam. I'm going to make sure it's easy for you to remember those people. Follow along as best you can, and then we're going to talk a little bit about it afterwards. So we're going to find our story in a book called 1 Kings. It's around chapter 11 and 12, and it says this. It says, King Solomon loved God, but did not love God with his whole heart. Solomon had many wives, and many of them were from other nations. Solomon's wives turned away from God, and he began to worship the false gods that his wives worshipped. God was angry, and God said to Solomon, "Since you have done this, I will take the kingdom away from you. You will be king the rest of your life, but when your son becomes king, he will lose everything except for one tribe." Now, when Solomon died, his son Rehoboam became king. And the people told Rehoboam, "Your father Solomon made us work too hard. We will gladly serve you if you make our work easier." Rehoboam thought about it and asked his father's friends for advice. "Be kind to the workers. They will work for you forever," the advisors said. But Rehoboam ignored that advice, and he asked his own friend. Rehoboam listened to his friends and told the workers, "My father did not make you work hard enough. I will make you work even harder." The people did not want to serve a king like Rehoboam, so they made Jeroboam king. Jeroboam had been one of Solomon's officials, and now he was king of the northern kingdom of Israel. Only one tribe remained under Rehoboam's rule, and that was the southern kingdom of Judah. Now, Rehoboam did not like being king of only one tribe, and he planned to attack the northern kingdom of Israel, but God sent a prophet to stop him. The prophet had a message from God: "Do not fight them. The people of Israel are part of your family. I am the Lord, and I am in control of what is happening." So Rehoboam went home. Now Jeroboam was the king of Israel, but he wasn't a good king. When the people of Israel traveled to Jerusalem to worship God at the temple, Jeroboam worried that they would start thinking of Rehoboam as their leader. So Jeroboam made 2 golden calves and told the people, "Going to Jerusalem is too difficult for you. Here are gods who brought you out of the land of Egypt. You can worship them." What Jeroboam did was a sin. Those calves did not lead God's people out of Egypt. God led his people out of Egypt. Jeroboam led all of the people to worship the false gods instead of the one true God. There's a lot there to that story, and I want you to think about that, right? Thinking about those golden calves. Remember, we'd seen those before. We talked about a Bible story where the people of Israel had created golden calves when they got out of the desert, and they worshiped those false gods. Remember how God led out of Egypt when he took on a pillar of fire and a pillar of smoke, when he cared for them and sent them bread, sent them manna from the heavens, and sent them quails when they asked to eat meat. Look at how God is asking the kings of his people to guide them and protect them, but they choose not to listen to God. And so he makes each and one of those kings a broken king. I'll give you a little hint to the glimpse of the future to see what happens. As those two kingdoms that are led by Rehoboam and Jeroboam, as they continue, both of those kingdoms have bad kings that continue to not worship God and instead worship other things, making the people walk further and further and further away from God. Now, I know you know what that looks like. When somebody is really far away from God, they don't make good choices. They're not happy, and they start to see that their life kind of breaks up around them, just like these kingdoms are broken up. It's really sad to think about how they live their lives, and it's really sad to see how they turned away from God. And you and I get to make that choice every day. If we will follow God with our whole heart, or if we will choose to worship other things beside Him. Now, the things we worship aren't golden calves, but they can look things like video games, or it can look like TV, or the computer, or it could be anything that distracts us from God, where we're not worshiping Him with our whole heart again. Now, what's really exciting is that God knows that each and every one of us still needs a king, still needs somebody to guide us and protect us, and to be the good shepherd. And I want you to think about that. Who could God have sent that would be our good king? Ever lead us in the direction that we need to go to? It's that lovely answer. Every time you have a Bible question, if you say Jesus, you will always get in a good graces with God. It's almost always the answer. Jesus, of course, is our true king. He will never leave us. He will never forsake us. He will never ask us to leave God. He is not going to put us in that position. And He is our one true king to lead us into the future, to lead us into that promised land, to go into heaven. I'm so grateful that we have somebody like Him who is strong and loving and caring, and somebody like Jesus. That beautiful, beautiful man makes it so easy for people like you and I to give our whole heart to Him and worship Him with everything we have. Hey, I love you. I hope that you're doing really well. I hope that you get to continue to talk about this lesson and all the amazing things that come from this, and I will see you another time.